Hi, I'm Peter. Just Peter. No Hillary today. But that's okay. Because today, I'm going to tell a little story about this. That's right here. This is going to be my Lover Secret Session experience. So, first of all, I want to get this out there that this video is not bragging and it's not like haha. It's just my story. A lot of people have asked for this. I love watching these videos of other people's experience. So that's what this is. And like I said, not bragging. And not bragging because I think that you will have your special moment with Taylor or any other of your dreams if you work hard for them and you believe in them. So, that's that. That's out of the way. Story time. Okay, so this is crazy. I'm just thinking about how I'm actually making this video because watching these for years, like since 1989, to actually be doing this, it's kind of like crazy. Anyway, so it started on July 24th. I was downstairs in my house and I was talking to my mom, and then I was about to run to my brother's house to do an errand for him, and I went upstairs to go get my shoes and my keys to leave. Did that. I walked up the steps, went to my room, I sat down, grabbed my keys, grabbed my shoes, and I looked at my phone and I saw a notification on Tumblr, so I pulled up Tumblr and it said, it pulled up on the direct message screen and it said confidential message in all caps is all I saw. And then I looked at the cover, the user photo, and it was Taylor, and I looked and it said Taylor Nation, and I immediately just I fell down and was like, what? And I was just like freaking out because it was like, this is real. And I clicked on it on their user and went back and went on their user and went back and went on their user, and I was like, I read the whole message and I was like, this is real. This is actually happening. Because I knew around this time that people were starting to talk about the DM going out, and so I was knew that it was kind of going out. So when I saw it, I was like, oh my gosh, is this real? And I went on their icon, and it was real. It was their verified account on Tumblr, and I was like freaking out, and I fell down, and then all of a sudden I dart back down the steps as fast as I've ever run those steps, and my mom's like, what? And I was like, look at the phone. And she's like, what? And I was like, look, and I was literally shaking. Actually my arm was shaking, and I gave her the phone, and she's read the message, and she's like, and I was like, this Taylor Swift, and then I was like, this means I'm probably going to meet her, because like I said, people are talking about how messages are going out, and I was like, oh my gosh, I need to answer this message, they're asking for my info. And then she's like, calm down, you need to calm down. And I breathe. And so I calmed down, I went back upstairs, I sat down, I relaxed, then I typed back the message and answered them back, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm shaking and crying. And then I answered the info that they needed, and then I just continued to freak out. And then I was like, okay, I actually have to go to my brother's house to do this errand now, so I'm going to do it. So that was on July 24th, and then for the next 3 days, I had to wait for the phone call, which I didn't know when the phone call was going to be, but I knew there would be a phone call because, for the more info. And at this time, I still didn't know it was actually a session. It could have been anything. I just knew it was, the confidential message, and they wanted information. So I waited, and I've heard people talk about from past eras that it could take a day. Some people took 2 days. Sometimes they call you a couple hours later with the phone call. And so the rest of that day, I was like, oh my gosh. And the next day, I was like, okay, is it going to happen? And the next day, I was like, oh my gosh, is it going to happen? And then the next day, which was a Saturday, I was like, oh my gosh, where's this call? And so I was going somewhere with my mom, and like I said, she knew about it because, I told her at that day I got a message, and I was on the phone with a friend, and I was talking to him, and all of a sudden my phone starts dinging in, like, you know, when you get a incoming call, and I looked at the number and it said New York, New York, and I was like, I gotta go by, and this person on the phone was like, what? And I was like, bye, and then they're like, huh? And I just hung up on them, and I was like, hello? And they were like, hello, is this Peter? This is blah 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 with Taylor Nation. And I was like, hello? And she was like so nice, one of the nicest people I've ever talked to on the phone. And they went over everything, and the gist of the call was, we have a special opportunity for you in Nashville, Tennessee on August 4th. Can you make it? And I was like, yes! And then she's like, awesome. And she told me on the phone, she was like, this conversation is going awesome. And I was like, yeah, I don't think it could go much better. And then she also said that they see me a lot online, and they're like, we love you. You're such a great, we see you post online, and it's always so great and supportive. And I was like, But, so anyway, then she told me all the details, wrote it all down, and then I had 1 week and 1 day to figure out how to get to Nashville, which I live like 8 hours from by car, and I had to figure out how to get there, and because I'm going to get there, obviously. And I looked up and I ordered 2 different shirts that I would want to wear, and it was one other shirt that was like this purple shirt, and then this shirt. This is the one I ended up wearing. And so I ordered those, I got my hair cut, and so I had to figure out the way to get to Nashville. So, like I said, I got that call on that Saturday. On the next day, the Sunday, which was a week away from the session, I called my grandma, which I travel with a lot, and my grandma and grandpa are just the best ever, and love them so much. And I told her, I was like, because you can't tell anybody what you're doing, why you would be going to Nashville. Nobody knew except my mom. So at this point, I called my grandma, and I'm like, hello? And I'm just like, do you think, I'm going to ask you, I said, I'm going to ask something crazy. And she's like, I don't know about crazy. I was like, it's crazy. And then I said, what do you think about going to Nashville, Tennessee next weekend? And she's like, Nashville, Tennessee? It's far away. And I was like, yeah, but it's for something really special and like a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. And it's something really, 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 really special. And it means the world to me. And she's like, like on the phone, she's like, so you can't say what it is? And I was like, no, I can't, but it's really special to me. And anyway, so it worked out where we planned a trip, went to Nashville, we left on the upcoming Friday, and we drove to Nashville. And on the day we were driving to Nashville, that Friday was the night of the London Secret Session, which I didn't know that was going to happen that night, but that was 2 days before the Nashville one. And so people started saying I was at a secret session. They started posting, they're like, oh my gosh, we were there, and oh my gosh, this track was amazing, this track, the best album ever, this. And then the next day that picture started coming out that night, and I was seeing this stuff, and I was like, this is gonna happen, this is what I'm doing, this is where I'm going right now, I'm in the car going to do this. What in the world? And it's just crazy to think. It's crazy to think. And so that was like really surreal when like you saw the London sessioners posting, because it was like, oh my gosh, this is like really real life. And so after that, we got to Nashville on that Saturday, because we drove half the time and stayed the night. And then that Saturday we got to Nashville. We drove around Nashville. We didn't stay at the meeting place, but we stayed very close to the meeting place, and we kind of drove to the actual meeting place to see where it was and all this stuff to see, so we would know where to be and all that. And we did a little bit of sightseeing, and that night we went to the Grand Ole Opry, which was really fun. And then it was weird because like we were doing this stuff with my grandparents, and I couldn't post anything to show that I was in Nashville, because nobody knew I was in Nashville, and if they saw that, they would be like, why are you in Nashville? And some people might be like, what? So I couldn't post anything, which was really weird. So I took pictures, but couldn't post them. And so that night, on the Saturday, the night before the session, went to bed, knowing what tomorrow was holding. And I woke up that morning, on the Sunday, and my stomach was in knots. And like, it wasn't like I didn't feel like I was going to be sick. I just felt like, I guess it was just, butterflies. It was the nerves of my body knowing what was going on that day. And like, I couldn't eat breakfast. And then we drove around Nashville a little bit around lunch, but not long. And we went to a park so I could get out, walk around, get some fresh air. And then I ended up getting like a baked potato from Wendy's and ate that because I needed something, but I couldn't, like I said, I was just like, I couldn't eat. It was like weird. I've never felt that way before, but it was just like, I was just, I guess, the nerves. Then after that, we stopped by Wendy's, got some food, went back to the hotel, and I just chilled out, relaxed, did deep breaths, just chilled out. And then it was time. We had to be at the meeting place at 4, no later than 4. So like at 2 o'clock, I was like, this is time to start getting ready. So I started getting ready. I got ready, and then I got dressed, and then I was wearing this, and I was like, I'm gonna meet Taylor Swift in this outfit. This is happening. And then it was like, it's time to go to the meeting place, which was like, this is happening. So we drive to the meeting place, and when you get there, there was a big group of people. It's a hotel, and we pulled up under the carport of the hotel, and there was this big group of people, and I was like, this is the right place. And like, as soon as we got out, I immediately recognized someone, and then I kept seeing people I knew, and then we went inside to the room, and it was so cool because I made so many cool friends, and just hung out with such cool people that night. And I mean, I would start naming them, but I don't want to cut people out. But I know like Megan and Brooke and Nora and Bobby and a lot of other people, and Mary, and I don't want to start listing people because then I'm gonna forget people. But it was so cool to hang out with all of you for that night, and it was such a cool experience with you all. So that was really cool to meet so many people that I've been friends with online, in person, and people that I hadn't seen before online, and meeting them and talking to them, and it's just cool. It's just like the best group of people. And we all knew why we were there, and it was so cool. So we checked in, and then we waited in the room. Just kept seeing more people I knew, and people were like seeing me and like, Peter, and I was like, oh my gosh. And it was so cool to see people like people you thought would be there, like, oh my gosh, I knew you were gonna be here. And because somebody posted, JC posted that she was going to Ohio, and then she was in the room, and I was like, I knew you were gonna be here. And she was here. Like, just people are sneaky, and you can tell online. So anyway, so cool to meet everybody, see everyone. So then the time came, and we were waiting, and then so we were all in rows. There was 25 rows, and the Taylor Nation lady comes in, and she's like, all right, it's time to start getting on the buses. And I was on the 20th row back. And she started she picked the first 2 rows, they went out to the bus, and then she came down some rows, took 2 more rows, and then she walked all the way down to our row, and she stopped on my row, and she pointed to me and all my friends that were there and on the other side of us, and said, y'all. And we went, and we're like, what? We got on the first bus. It ended up being, I think, 3, because there was 2 buses. The 2 buses went, and then one of the buses had to go back to get the people that couldn't fit in those. So we get on the bus. Bus ride was awesome, singing all the songs like Me and You Need to Calm Down and some older ones, and that was just so cool. And then talking to people around me, and then all of a sudden the bus stops, and you look to your left, and these gates start opening, and it was like, these are the gates. This is the driveway. And it was, and the whole bus is screaming, and I was just in awe that this is happening. This is real. Going in the driveway of Taylor Swift's house, and you've seen it from the session videos. It's like, this is the driveway. So we go up the driveway and park, and then we get out, and we had to do a security checkpoint, and then we went back into the pool area, and I was one of the first 20 people in, and got in there and went up to the table of food, which was right behind the pool, and they had all this food, burgers and pizza and Lover M&Ms and chicken nuggets and probably some other stuff I can't remember at the moment. And so I was still kind of not nervous, the stomach was still kind of off, but I was able to eat more since I was there, because it was kind of So I think I ate a piece of pizza and some chicken, and I ended up eating some more chicken, so that's good. And so, and then I got a signature smart water bottle from seeing it, you know, in the past. And then like the other buses got there, and just socialized, a lot of socializing, and finally all the buses were there. Everybody ate, people started using the bathrooms, one of the toilets broke, which was a thing in itself. It was funny, kind of. I don't know what happened to it, still don't know, but it, like, the lines were so long. But then it was time, so everybody was kind of huddling around where they saw where we were going to go in the door, because you could see inside the house where the session was going to be, because there was like pillows on the floor and all the signature things that people have talked about. The, like I said, the dog beds on the floor, the pillows on the floor, and you're like, that's the room it's going to happen in. You saw the chair, Taylor's chair. And I was sitting with a group of friends, and we were at the door that we thought they were going to open to go in. So we thought, oh, we're going to be close to the front because we were there. Well, all of a sudden, everybody's like spewing one way, and we're like, what's going on? And they open a different door, and everybody started going down this hall. So we were literally, when I was one of like the last 10 people in, and I was like, oh no, we'll probably be in the back, which it's not. I'm not complaining, because anywhere in that room, not a bad seat. There's no bad seat in that room. But it was just kind of one of those things where you thought you were going to be in the front, ended up you think you're going to be in the back. Totally okay. Was not bummed. Just like, oh man. Well, we get in, and everybody's like sitting towards the chair, you know, and I sit down, me and a couple friends sit down right almost where we just walked in. And it's like at the corner, I'm like on the last row of the room, and like right beside the door we just walked through. It's like it was 3 steps up in a little passageway, and like a few more people trickle in after me, and I'm looking around, and I'm like, I look over to someone sitting around me, and I was like, this is the only door to this room. Taylor Swift's going to come through that door. And I was like from here to like 6 feet away from the door. And I was like, this is the door that she's going to walk through. So I was like, okay, this is like the best seat in the room now. It just like became like, oh my gosh, you're in the back, to oh my gosh, she's going to walk. And then like the walkway was from me to like 1 foot away where she walked to get to her chair. So like all of a sudden, like everybody's in there, finally sits down, and the room would just, the passageway we came through, they all of a sudden shut the curtain. Like she's coming through that door. And I was standing there looking, because you could see under the curtain, because it wasn't like that long of one. And I saw sparkly shoes just all of a sudden pop up. And I was like, I started going like this, and I was like, she's right there! She's coming, she's there, you know? And then all of a sudden I saw a hand on the curtain, and it went like this, and it was, hi guys! And I was like, what? This signature hi guys? And then she like ran past, and she went and got in her chair, and she like flopped down. And I was like, She's like, welcome to the Lover Secret Sessions. And at that moment, it all hit me. You know, it's been hitting me like since the week I got the call, but it just hit me. It was like, this is it. This is real. And I saw her on the Reputation tour, and I got close to the second B stage, and I was like on the second row from like the rows that line up at the stage, and like I was like seeing her, and she was close, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is like thinking, this is so close, this is the closest I've ever been to her, this is insane, to all of a sudden, a little over a year later, I'm sitting in her living room floor, and she's in that room. She's there. She's like closest I've ever been to her. She's there. She's talking to, there was 113 of us there, personally talking to all of us. And it's just like, whoa. And then she goes, she talked for a minute, and she's like, so I just wanted y'all to know that I handpicked every single one of you. Some of you I picked 18 months ago, some of you I picked last week, and I handpicked all of you. Some of you I saw defending me on Twitter, some of you I saw funny videos, or you singing, or just a post I liked, or a selfie, and it was like, and I was like, wonder how long she's had me screenshot it. And she's like, I screenshot you all and sent it to Taylor Nation. And it's like, how long? 18 months is what she said for some people. So it was like, that was like the tour, that was Reputation tour was still happening when she was like the beginning before. And it was like, what? So it was like, oh my. So this goes into the secret part of the session. And what happens in secret session stays in the secret session. I will say there was an intermission. I played half the album and then an intermission. And at the intermission, she stood up to leave the room and everybody stood up with her. And like most people were trickling outside. And like I said, I was right there on the row that she had to walk by to leave. So I stood there and then like some of my good friends, like she grabbed one and gave him a hug and said, thanks for coming. And she said to someone else, I'm so happy you're here. And she told someone else, oh my gosh, your outfit, this color looks great on you, and gave her a hug. And then she walked past me. And I was like, oh, you know. But then all of a sudden, I'm standing there and about to leave the room, and she stopped in her tracks. Like, once she walked past me, she stopped. And I was like, what is she doing? And she turned around, and she looked at me, and she grabbed my arm, this arm. She grabbed it like this as hard as she could, and she was like, hi! And I was like, hi! And then she's like, this smile, I would never forget this look on her face when she was like, hi! And when she said hi, and so I was like, hi, and then she left the room, and then so I left the room, and everybody's freaking out. We're all freaking out together because she just, you know, said something to us, hugged, all this stuff. And I was like, ah. So then back to finish the session, and then after that, it was time. It was time to wait to meet her, and right as the session ended, she was like, I made cookies for everyone, and Taylor Nation brought in cookies, and I had Rice Krispie treats, and so they passed those around, and I ate a cookie and a piece of Rice Krispie treat because I had braces, so I couldn't really chew it, so I had a piece because I was like, I have to say I ate a Rice Krispie treat Taylor Swift made. And the cookies, the chocolate chip cookies, you did good, Taylor. And so we sat there, ate, and then we didn't know what time it was because there was no clocks anywhere. You know, they took all of our phones, watches away, so we had no clue what time it was. And so we were just sitting around waiting, and they did, all the people under 18, they went first because they had a parent with them or a guardian, and they went first, and then they did all of them, and then they went in alphabetical order with who was left, which is a lot, the majority of the people. And my last name starts with the E, so I knew I would be closer to the front. Well, it took a while, which is okay, because they're sitting out by Taylor Swift's pool, eating, talking to friends, and at some point, somebody did have a watch, and somebody asked her, and she was like, it's 1:11. And I was like, oh my gosh, we're at Taylor Swift's house at 1 o'clock in the morning. Most of the time you hear, like, the session ends around midnight, and it's like, it's 1 o'clock, and there's still so many people to go. And so they kept calling people, you talk to somebody, then all of a sudden they would call their name, and they're like, oh my gosh, you got this, this is your moment. And then, so a couple of the people I were talking to most, they got called back. One of them got called back, and it's like they go to the door, and it's like, oh my gosh. And then, the next person got called back. And, another thing, at the beginning of the session, Papa Swift, Mama Swift, and Austin came in the room and said hi, and they were like all standing right there where I was, because like I said, I was at the door, and like Mama Swift looked me straight in the eye, and she smiled, and Austin looked at me like 3 times. And I was like, oh my gosh. Wow. So anyway, back to when we were waiting. Like I said, my last name was E, so I was like, it's gotta be close. And then I think I heard someone say it was 2 o'clock in the morning. And I was like, oh my gosh. So I knew somebody else was, they called an E, another E. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is about to happen. So I got up, I went to the bathroom. I came back and I just stood there and waited, and all of a sudden they're like, Peter? And I was like, yes. And then everybody's like, you got this, Peter, And then I wait at the door, and then she's like, come on in. And we go in this hallway, and like it's this hallway, and there's like 4 steps down and a door. And the door, right behind the door is where Taylor is. And so I was standing in this hallway, and they had a mirror there, like it was placed perfectly, because I kept like checking my hair. And the security guy was funny. He's like, that's a good place, huh? Like, yeah, perfect spot for a mirror. And then the Taylor Nation girl came in there, and she was so sweet. And she's like, have you thought about what you want to say? And I was like, yeah, but I don't know if I remember. And she's like, well, it's okay, you got it. And I was like, have you thought about what pose? And I was like, yeah, I know what pose I want to do. And so I'm standing there in the back of the hallway, and another girl was there, and then she went down the steps, and then they moved me to the front of the steps, and I could hear Taylor, because she was talking to the girl that went in front of me, and I could hear Taylor, and I was like, she's right down those steps. This is about to happen. Taylor Swift's right down the steps. I'm about to walk in that room and meet her. that was like, it hits you hard there. So I heard the other girl, like, she said, "Bye, I love you." And as soon as she said that, they opened the door. And the Taylor Nation lady's like, "You can come on down." And I was like, so I walked down the steps, and in my mind, I'm like, "Don't fall, don't fall, don't trip, don't fall, don't trip, don't fall, don't trip." And my legs were like literally shaking. And all of a sudden I walk in the room, and I look straight ahead. I see there's a camera, and they're like filming me. Like, the camera's walking up towards me and then backs off. And I see the camera and this Taylor Nation lady, and then I turn to my left, and there she was. And Taylor opens up her arms and has this huge smile, and she's like, "Peter!" And I'm like, and then I walk and I hug her, and I couldn't say anything. I was like, "Hello." And then she's like the sweetest, and she gives the tightest hug. And she's like, "Hi." And then she's like, so we stand there. And then it was like, all of a sudden I just became calm. Like, it was like I'm with a best friend that I haven't seen in a while, and I'm seeing again, reuniting with. And like, she's like, "I'm so sorry you had to wait so long." And I was like, "No, I would wait as long as you need me to. I would be out there all night long if I had to be. It's okay." Then she's like, "Oh my gosh, you are so tall. I saw you sitting over there a lot during the session, but I didn't realize you were that tall." And I was like, because she's tall, and I'm 6'5", and she's 5'11" or 5'10", and she, like I said, she said that, and then I was like, "I know, I'm actually gonna be taller than you in the picture." And she's like, "That does not happen much. That's so weird." And then I was like, ugh. And then she's like, "So, where'd you come from? Like, where'd you travel from?" And I told her, she's like, "Oh my gosh, that's so far. Thanks so much for coming." And I was like, "Yeah, my grandparents took me." She's like, "Oh, that's so sweet. Tell them I said thank you." And I was like, "I will." And I was like, I talked about my mom for a minute and how we've done all the shows. And she's like, "Oh, that's so sweet. Tell her I said hello." And I was like, "I will." And then we talked about some more stuff. And we talked some more. And then she's like, "Do you want to get a picture?" And I was like, "Of course." So we got a picture. She asked me to check it, to make sure it was okay. And it was this picture, just one try. And this was the picture. And it was this. And these smiles, this picture is just perfect. Couldn't have asked for a better picture. Like, literally the best picture I could have ever imagined, past wildest dreams. And then she's like, talks about my outfit, and she's like, "I really like this aesthetic you have going on." We kind of both have the same aesthetic. Like, we kind of have like this school vibe, like, like a school girl boy vibe. Like, you're at school with like, this outfit. And I was like, "Yeah, I wore dark jeans and Nike." She's like, "That was a good choice." And I was like, "Thanks, I thought you would like it." After the outfit, I'm like, "Oh my gosh, she's complimenting my outfit, saying we have the same aesthetic going on." So after Taylor Swift compliments outfit and does this, I'm like, "So, when and where did you find me?" And because I was so curious after she said, a year, she found people like 18 months, a week. And she's like, "It's been a while." And then she's like, "Twitter?" And I was like, you like to post on Instagram a year ago. It was in August. And she's like, "That's when it was. That's the one I screenshotted." I was like, "What?" And she's like, "Poo, poo, poo, poo." Like, oh my gosh. She's like, "What?" And she had me on her phone for a year. She screenshotted me a year before the session. A year. And that's what I mean of, you don't know if you are already on Taylor Swift's phone. So you could be. So remember that. Don't ever give up hope. A year. Since a year. And then, like, in the course of this, she gives me another hug and another hug. And it's like 3 hugs. And then I was like, "You should totally follow me on Tumblr." And she's like, "Okay, what is your URL?" And I told her, and she like repeated it back to herself, like, like how you repeat stuff back. And she's like, "Got it." And I was like, "Okay." One last hug. And then as I was leaving the room, I was like, "I love you." And she's like, "I love you." And it's like, and then they hand me, as I'm leaving the room, they hand me this bag, which, like I said, I saw from the London pictures, like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna get one of those. They handed this bag, which in this bag was this sweatshirt, another shirt, the me shirt, a hat, you can't spell awesome without me shirt, and finally the Lover Secret Session pin, which is like, this is so cool to have. We'll always cherish this. We'll never lose this. And they gave me this, and I left the room and got on the bus. And I sat on the bus and just sat there and I was like, this is real. This all just happened. I just met Taylor Swift. She knew who I was. She knew my name. She seen me online. She told me she was going to follow me on all this stuff. And I'm just like, what even is? And let me tell you something. When she talks to you, she really cares about you and the conversation. She's not just like, oh yeah, that's cool. Yeah, really? Yeah. No, she is like so into it. She looks at you dead in the eye. She cares about you. She cares about everything you're saying. She has these perfect responses for everything you tell her. Like, she just knows what to say always. And it's not just the, yeah, that's cool, yeah. No, it's like she genuinely cares. She answers you with such, like, caring, and just, it's unreal. And she looks at you in the eyes the whole time and gives the tightest hugs, and she's just like the best. And she's just so cool. Like, no other celebrity does this. And like, you don't even see her as a celebrity. It's just like a friend, you know? Like, she is so cool. And so all that to say, and get on the bus, other people on the bus, everybody's freaking out. People are like, oh my gosh, she knew my name. I was like, she knew my name too. And then some people were like, oh my gosh. And we talked about what we talked about. And then they're like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. And we started exchanging some of the merch, because like, I ended up with the same shirts that were in my bag, but some of them were the wrong size. So I exchanged with other people. And then like, some people kept trickling on the bus, which was like the coolest thing ever to see people's reaction getting on the bus. Somebody got on the bus and they hit the chair like, I just met Taylor Swift. And I was like, mood. But so cool of an experience. Sit on the bus for a while while it's loading up, and then we get on the bus, go back to the meeting place. It was 3:30 in the morning when we left our house. 3:30 in the morning when we left our house, and we get there, and like, there's so many people waiting for people to come back. And I saw my grandparents, and they were waiting, real troopers, to sit in the lobby of the hotel to wait for me that long. They're awesome. And then everybody's like, oh my gosh. So then I took a picture that I will put in here. We'll put it over here of me holding the bag. And that's the one I posted online that said I just met Taylor Swift. And then we got back to the hotel, and I was like, my phone was blowing up because, you know, I just met Taylor Swift post that was crazy to post went out. So people were freaking out. Get back to the hotel, kind of settled down. Didn't go to sleep until like after 4. Slept, got up the next morning, slept in late. Then we did some more Nashville sightseeing, went to the Hall of Fame and all this. And it was like, where is the picture? Where is the picture? And I started seeing people posting their pictures from Nashville. And it was like, people were posting them, and they were so cute. And it was like, oh my gosh. And you're seeing this like, I'm about to get one of these pictures. And then so a little bit later, we get back to the hotel, and I'm sitting there on the phone waiting. So we ended up taking a nap, because it was, like I said, a long night before. Took a nap, woke up from the nap, pulled up my email. That was an email from Taylor Nation, and it said attached one image. I pulled it up, and this was in the inbox. And it was like really like kind of like the first time seeing it, 'cause Taylor asked me to check it. But it was like, when you check it, you know, you just looked at it so fast in the moment. This is like literally seeing it on my phone, like big screen. It was like, oh my gosh. And this is it. It happened. It's real life, and it can happen for you. And another thing during the session, she looked at me so many times, like she she made direct eye contact with me like this during the session. Like during songs I was like jamming, and she looked at me for like 10 seconds straight, and then like the next song she would look at me 2 or 3 times. Like each song she looked at me at least 1 time each song. And I was like, every time I was like, people were like, oh my gosh, and I was like, what in the world, this is crazy. So get the picture, post it, see it, crazy. So like I said, Taylor said that she was going to follow me on Tumblr, and this was like 2 days after the session. I was at home, I was in bed, I was actually about to go to sleep, and I was already thinking like, well, she probably forgot. That's okay, no complaints. I told her, it's okay. Well, I pulled up my phone and looked at Tumblr, and it said, Taylor Swift and 9 others followed you. And I pulled it up and I clicked on it and I went to her profile, and it was her. 2 days after the session, like 48 hours after, almost exactly, she followed me. Just like, she did. And I'm like, what? She actually followed me. And since then, she's liked a bunch of my posts, and I'm just amazed because I had never had a Tumblr notice, never been noticed on Tumblr, and then all of a sudden this, it's so crazy. So crazy. I'm so thankful for this experience. Thank you so much, Taylor, from picking me, doing this for your fans. You were literally the best. And thank you for choosing me. Thank you for doing this. Thank you, Taylor Nation, for making this all happen and possible. Thank you to the Swift family for opening up the house. Thank you to everyone involved. Thank you for everyone that has congratulated me and said such nice things. And I hope you like this video. Like I said, I always love to watch these experiences. And it's not drag. It's because it's so fun for me to personally watch. I love seeing them. And just to show that it can and will happen to you. And so crazy. And I hope I didn't forget anything, because I was like, made some notes and I just looked at them, and really hope I haven't forgot to talk about anything or anyone, because there were so many great people there. It was so nice to meet everyone. The whole experience was amazing. Anyway, thank you for listening to my story. Comment down below whatever you want. Make sure you follow me on the socials, my Taylor Swift socials. I'll put those down below. And make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel, because me and my sister make a lot of fun videos here. And make sure you check them out. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much. Goodbye, good night, good morning. Don't know what time it is where you are watching this, but bye-bye.